Khiri Travel is pleased to be bringing you this webinar today, Cambodia Beyond the Temples. And I'd like to start by introducing you to your U.S.-based General Manager at Khiri Travel, Michael Healy. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, Lee, and thanks for the introduction, and most importantly for taking care of the technical side of things. Always very much appreciated. And to everyone joining us today for Khiri Travel's webinar, Cambodia Beyond the Temples, we thank you for your time. As a little background, Khiri Travel has worked in the greater Mekong region for 22 plus years, and now we have offices in Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka, as well as a support office for our North American-based agents here in Denver, Colorado. Our commitment to sustainable, local, and authentic travel goes far beyond just using those as buzzwords. It's this commitment to genuine connections with the destinations we work and love which has created the Khiri difference for your clients on the ground. We believe strongly in the triple bottom line: people, planet, profit. We know that when a company puts people and planet first, the profits will follow. And when the profits follow for both our agents and ourselves, we're able to invest that money back into people and planet. It's this continuous cycle that keeps us going as a company and provides your clients and the local communities a true bond we all benefit from. Our commitment to you and your clients is in sharing our passion for discovery. To illustrate this point today, we have our country manager from Cambodia, Miles, who will share his passion for Cambodia with you. So Miles, thank you so much for being up in the wee hours of the night to talk with us today, and I think I can speak for everyone when I say we're all excited to hear what you have in store.
Alrighty, thank you, Mike. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Chumrip Sila, everyone. My name is Miles, as Mike mentioned. I'm the country manager for Khiri Cambodia. And it's my pleasure to be with you this evening or early morning for me. I hope you're all having an excellent day in North America. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So before we start, the idea of this webinar is to provide a little bit of additional information about Cambodia as a destination beyond the temples of Angkor. Some of you might not even be familiar with the temples of Angkor, but generally most travelers who visit Cambodia will only visit the temples of Angkor, which are located in Siem Reap, and then really continue on about their trip in Southeast Asia, maybe extending to Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, etc. And we really wanted to highlight that Cambodia can be a complete destination, and really is a complete destination for many travelers. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As Mike mentioned already, we are very much focused on the triple bottom line, people, planet, and profit, with 15 offices throughout Asia and in 8 countries, and an office located in Denver, Colorado. Khiri Cambodia is a team of 16 passionate individuals located in 2 offices in Phnom Penh and Siem Reap. Phnom Penh is our head office, and Siem Reap is our branch office, where we have mainly an operations team, and it's where we manage most of our guides. A lot of our product is based out of Siem Reap, and we do have an operations team of only 4 people in our Siem Reap office. All of our sales, product development, accounts, and head office stuff is done out of our head office in Phnom Penh. We do have dedicated sales teams, operations teams, product teams, and unique systems that allow for seamless ground handling throughout the country. Khiri Cambodia and all Khiri destinations really are focused on providing the best product, service, and guides in Cambodia through ongoing training and innovation. We really put a lot of emphasis on having the best guides available, training our guides, and really having innovative product and service on the ground in Cambodia. We have a lot of amazing products at Khiri Cambodia, and we really like to showcase that And the best way to showcase that for us is through having some of the best guides in the business. I mean, as you all know, a lot of trips, you're only as good as your guides, and we really focus on having the best guides available, really making sure that every client is treated as a VIP. Cambodia region. So, as I already mentioned, the idea of this webinar is to provide a little bit more information about Cambodia as a destination. We are going to cover Siem Reap because, as you know, most people who visit Cambodia will only visit Siem Reap, and I understand that many of your clients will probably still only be interested in visiting Siem Reap, so we will cover a bit of Siem Reap, where Angkor Wat is located. Beyond that, we are going to touch on the Northwest and Central Temple region, Battambang, Northeast Mekong, Northeast Jungles, Phnom Penh, South Coast, the Cardamom Mountains in Koh Kong Province, and the islands off the coast of Cambodia. As you can see from the map, Phnom Penh is the capital of Cambodia. It's located kind of south-central part of the country. And Siem Reap, you'll see, is in the northwestern corner of Cambodia. Some of the main geographical features, which I will touch on again in the next slide, are the Central Lake region, which is the Tonle Sap. Tonle means great, and lake means sap in Khmer, and it is the Great Lake. It is actually the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia, and it is the lifeblood of Cambodia. Furthermore, you can see the Mekong River flows the entire length of the country, coming from Laos and into southern Vietnam. As you can see from the map, we will touch on some of the other temples. Battambang, which unfortunately you actually can't see on this map, in the northwest, the north and east Mekong region, which you'll see Stung Treng and Kratche. Northeast Jungles, Phnom Penh, South Coast is pretty self-explanatory, and the Cardamon's Koh Kong in the southwest of the country. And you have the islands. The island directly south of the biggest of Kampot, you'll see on the map, is an island called Phu Quoc. It used to actually belong to Cambodia. Now it belongs to Vietnam, of course. And moving on. So a little bit of destination info about Cambodia. Some of the defining historical moments in Cambodia are really these, well, in my opinion, really these three main historical points. Firstly, and the main reason that really everyone comes to Cambodia are the temples of Angkor. The Angkor Empire lasted from the 9th through the 13th century, and then mysteriously disappeared. Still, people do not really know the exact reason for the disappearance of the Angkor Empire. There's many different theories and thoughts on why the Angkor Empire simply ceased to exist, mostly to do with agricultural problems. There was a lot of warfare during the time between the Siamese Empire and the Champa region, which is a Vietnamese Muslim population, and other factors. But no one really knows why the Angkor Empire disappeared somewhere around the 13th century. But what they did leave are some fantastic temples and some of the most gorgeous historical monuments and religious sites really on the world. The French colonization of Cambodia from 1867 through 1952 played a huge part in the creation of the modern state of Cambodia. Cambodia actually extended well beyond its current borders prior to French colonization, but French, as with many colonial empires, did create the lines in the sand and create the modern historical borders of Cambodia. And then, of course, the Khmer Rouge, which is one of the darkest points of really world history, but certainly the darkest point in Khmer history, when the Khmer Rouge took over in the background of the Vietnamese-American War during the time, and essentially tried to create a utopian Marxist government that led to a lot of problems in Cambodia. The current population of Cambodia is 14.7 million, majority of which are under the age of 18. Cambodia is bordered by Thailand in the west, Laos in the north, and Vietnam in the east. The Mekong River, as I mentioned, is a major geographical feature, and the Tonle Sap Lake as well in the central part of the country. South coast, there isn't a massive coast in Cambodia, but there is quite a nice coast. The Cardamom Mountains, which border Thailand in the southwest, and the Eastern Highlands, which border Vietnam in the east. The average length of stay in Cambodia is 6 days. And as I mentioned before, most people will come to Siem Reap for 3 to 4 days. This number, I believe, is actually inflated a little bit by business travelers, but the average length of stay is 6 days. In 2015, arrivals, USA arrivals were 218,000. American arrivals were actually number 3, behind China and Vietnam as the lead destination, lead-in travelers. So there are quite a number of Americans visiting Cambodia. A lot of those travelers, those numbers are probably business travelers as well, in addition to Khmer Americans returning. 57,000 Canadians and 8,000 Mexicans visited Cambodia in 2014, or 15, excuse me, with a total of 4.7 million total arrivals in 2015. That number is steadily increasing year on year, and Cambodia continues to be a growth destination in the region. Seasons. So we kind of jokingly say in Cambodia there's 2 seasons, hot and wet and hot and dry. It is a little bit more nuanced than that. There are, in fact, kind of variations on the hot and wet and hot and dry seasons. For example, peak season, which is when the majority of travelers visit Cambodia, is December and January. And we have a bit of a bump in mid-February with the Chinese New Year holiday. That is the busiest time. The reason it's the busiest time, partially due to the holiday season. A lot of travelers from Europe, in the States, and North America, and all over the world have some time off and over Christmas and New Year, and do visit Cambodia during that time. But really, the main reason why that is the peak season is because the weather is the nicest. It is absolutely gorgeous during that time of year, extremely pleasant. You know, it's average 75 degrees, blue skies, clear, bright, beautiful. Really, really nice time of year to visit. It is also the most expensive time of year to visit, and the busiest time of year to visit. So if you wanted to have a private temple experience, you know, early January, late December is probably not the best time to do it. But that being said, the weather is gorgeous. High seasons would be October, November, and February through March. Again, it's kind of a shoulder season. October, November can be a bit rainy still, but personally it's my favorite time of year, when everything is green and gorgeous and the rivers are flowing and it's, you know, not too crowded. The prices are also a bit lower. You can still get deals during that time of year. And the February, March season, which is the dry season, but it's starting to heat up a little bit. Low season is April through September. Currently, we're in April. It is the hottest time of year and the driest time of year. So essentially, it rains for 6 months in Cambodia, and it doesn't rain for 6 months in Cambodia. So right now, we haven't had rains for for about 6 months. It's quite dry and extremely hot, so we're averaging 100 degrees a day in the daytime, every day throughout the country. It's a little bit hotter in Siem Reap than it is in Phnom Penh, but it is a very hot time of year. There's pros and cons for each season, as I already mentioned. You get the great weather in December and January, but it's also you pay a premium. A lot of the properties, that's really when they are able to make a lot of their money, and that is when peak season rates apply. I really rainy season. It usually tends to rain only in the afternoons and for a short time, and it's really not that much of a burden on travel, although you can miss some beach days occasionally. Touching on Siem Reap. Siem Reap is the tourism capital of Cambodia. As I've already mentioned, majority of people do only visit Siem Reap and then continue on about their trip. There are 700 plus hotels in Siem Reap. So small town, only less than 1 million people actually live in the entire Siem Reap province. So approximately 600,000 people live in the city of Siem Reap. And there's 700 plus hotels. So it's a very saturated market. There are some gorgeous properties, however, and it does give you a lot of options for accommodation. Siem Reap is, of course, home to the world-famous temples of Angkor and Angkor Wat. The temples of Angkor are essentially, when we discuss the temples of Angkor, it is one complex, and it's approximately 400 square kilometers. And that encompasses many, many temples, and you can spend days and days and days exploring the temples of Angkor just outside of Siem Reap. Most visits last about 4 days. 3 nights, 4 days would be a standard visit to Siem Reap. But there are things to do beyond just seeing temples. We certainly understand that some people love temples. They can visit temples all day, for a week straight. Other people, they see one temple, they've kind of seen them all, and perhaps might not be that interested in exploring temples in depth. But there's certainly a lot of other activities to keep you occupied during that time. Siem Reap, beyond the temples, lots to do, lots to see. Tonle Sap, the Great Lake of Cambodia, is located just outside of Siem Reap, a couple miles outside of town. Can be quite interesting. We actually operate a really lovely homestay in Kampong Klang, which is in the Tonle Sap region. Kampong Klang is really interesting because it's houses that are actually on stilts, and during the dry season you'll see that they're about 10 meters plus high, about more than 30 feet high, on stilts. In the wet season, the lake floods and the water comes all the way up to the bottom of the houses. So there's a huge variance in water level in the Tonle Sap Lake between the dry season and the wet season. I actually recommend that people don't visit the Tonle Sap Lake during the driest part of the season because it can be quite underwhelming and a little bit smelly at times. But it is still quite interesting to see how people live on the lakes and see the floating houses and to experience the Tonle Sap. Phnom Kulen is one of my favorite destinations outside of Siem Reap. Phnom Kulen is a mountain about 45-minute drive outside of town. It's actually where King Jayavarman proclaimed the Angkor Empire. It's said to be the birthplace of the Angkor Empire. There's a beautiful waterfall there, a really nice river, which actually this picture is from. Lots of historical monuments. There's a 1,000 lingas carved within the river. There's an ancient elephant in the middle of the jungle. It's a really, really nice place. Very interesting, and I think a really nice escape from Siem Reap. It's something different that a lot of people do not experience. It's also really nice to kind of see a local side of Siem Reap. It's a very popular destination for Khmer people to go, especially on the weekends. It can be a little bit busy on the weekends, and people swim and have a picnic, and it's really quite lovely. Biking outside the temples and within the temple grounds is a really great activity. The biking is fantastic in Siem Reap. Lots of trails, lots of things to see, and some really nice biking itineraries. Destination dining, cooking classes, and foodie-focused tours are something that we have been developing and continue to develop in Siem Reap. Some really good options there. Also, meditation, yoga, and wellness is an ongoing developing aspect of travel in Siem Reap, as well as something a little bit more adventurous. There's an excellent zip line ropes course called Flight of the Gibbon, which is actually located just outside of the temples of Angkor in the protected forest. Microlight and helicopter flights over the temples are really nice. ATVs and horse rides. So there's lots to do, lots to see. If someone isn't particularly interested in temples, there's plenty of activities outside of visiting the temples to keep your clients occupied. And it's something that we really like to remind people of. And of course, the entire point of this webinar. So touching on the temples outside of Siem Reap, we are going to cover the Northwest and Central Temple region, notably Banteay Chmai, which is a beautiful temple about 2 to 3 hours outside of Siem Reap, along the Thai border, northwest of Siem Reap. Sambor Praekut, which is actually a pre-Angkorian temple dating back to the 6th century, which is in between Phnom Penh and Siem Reap. Koke, which is a beautiful temple, really, really interesting actually. It is a pyramid. It's one of the only pyramids in Asia. And it is approximately 2 hours outside of Siem Reap. Bangmalaya, which is a beautiful temple, approximately 1.5 hours outside of Siem Reap. And Preah, which is a stunning temple on top of a mountain right at the Thai border in the north central region of Cambodia. Northwest and Central Temple touring. First and foremost, we actually have a luxury tented camp at Banteay Chmai. It's a really, really special experience. Generally, no one else would be there. We have a really nice setup, very comfortable, air conditioning, normal beds. We bring people out there. You have a really nice private temple experience. Tour the temples, have dinner, dine. It's local music. Really, really special experience. Very, very memorable. Not for everyone, but a really, really nice trip for people who want to experience something different and are into the kind of glamping aspect of travel. This is also a community-based project, so we set this up, and it is really helping to support the community outside of Banteay Chmai by bringing tourists there and employing people by maintaining the tents and setting up the tents and essentially doing all the operations for your clients when visiting Banteay Chmai. Bangmalaya and Koke can be visited from Siem Reap for a day trip. A really nice day trip. Generally, if you're going to Koke, you would also stop at Bangmalaya on the way, and it's a full day trip. As I mentioned already, it's about a 2-hour drive from Siem Reap. Really interesting temples. Again, if someone is looking for a more intimate temple experience away from the crowds, these are great options. But still, staying in Siem Reap, these are really, really nice options. Preah, the temple I mentioned, which is on the mountain and Thai border in north central Cambodia, is an absolutely stunning temple. I've only been there once, and that was many years ago. And I really can't wait to go back. But it's really incredibly impressive and looks out over Cambodia and is quite stunning. There's a really nice boutique hotel that has recently opened within the last year so that you can visit Previ here and have a nice, comfortable stay as well. Sambor Pre Cook is one of my favorite temple complexes. Sambor Pre Cook is located in between Phnom Penh and Siem Reap, almost directly halfway in between, along the main road 6, outside of a town called Kampong Thom. There's a couple options at Sambor Pre Cook. We do have a really, really nice homestay, which again is a community-based project that helps support the community outside the temples. Really special experience, which I recently did as well, where you actually explore the temples, and then you stay in a local family's home and bicycle around the village. And I played soccer with a whole with the village, and explored a noodle. Saw people making rice noodles, and really, really nice experience, and something that is an easy add-on for any clients going in between Siem Reap and Phnom Penh. Alternatively, there's a really beautiful boutique hotel in Kampong Thom, which is a really nice stay to kind of break up the drive if you have clients that are interested in driving in between Siem Reap and Phnom Penh, and that is approximately a 6-hour drive. Okay, next we have Battambang. Battambang is the second largest city in Cambodia. It's approximately 3 hours from Siem Reap, 3 hours from Tai Lin and the Thai border, and 5 hours from Phnom Penh. And it is also reachable via boat from Siem Reap, but only during the high water season. You can kind of do it during the low water season, but it takes upwards of 8 hours, and it's not the most pleasant experience. I really only recommend that you take the boat from Siem Reap to Battambang or vice versa during the high water season, which would be from July through to January. Battambang is the breadbasket of Cambodia. It is where Cambodia produces a lot of their agricultural products. Everything it can grow in that region, from, of course, rice to all the fruits and vegetables of Cambodia. It's also somewhat of a cultural hub of Cambodia, with lots of arts and artists and musicians are actually hailing from Battambang. And there's some really, really nice boutique hotels options in Battambang as well. Battambang touring. You see this funny contraction in the photo here. This is the bamboo train. So the bamboo train is actually something that is uniquely Cambodian, and something that, unfortunately or fortunately, in the name of progress, won't be with us for too much longer. The train ceased to run in Cambodia approximately 20 years, a little bit more, and being the innovative people that they are, Khmer's built their own train cars out of bamboo and generators, taking old train axles and placing bamboo platforms on top of the train axles and running a generator with a belt drive. It's really, really interesting. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a roller coaster. A little bit scary at times, but it's a really unique experience and something that is uniquely Cambodian. So riding the bamboo train is certainly a highlight for a lot of people visiting Battambang, and certainly something that I would recommend everyone do. FAR, which is the Cambodian Circus, is actually an NGO project which was started by returnees after the war, after the civil war in Cambodia, when people started to return from refugee camps, mostly in Thailand. A group of people started a circus project. It's a really, really nice experience. Fantastic circus. It's based in Battambang, but they do also have a circus tent and daily performances in Siem Reap. And that's actually more reliable. The Battambang shows don't happen every day, but in Siem Reap they do happen every day. But Battambang is the home of FAR. Biking in the countryside, it's a really gorgeous place to bike. Really, really nice, quiet countryside and back roads, exotic fruit orchards, a lot of rambutan, durian, dragon fruit, passion fruit, anything you can think of there's an orchard there, as well as local rice wine, which isn't to everyone's taste, but it's certainly an experience as well. There is a budding art scene as well in Phnom Penh, in Panama, and lots of little art galleries in the downtown area, as well as in the evening, many food stalls along the river. And it's a really nice experience in the evening to kind of walk along the river, explore some galleries, stop in some food stalls, and sample some local cuisine. Battambang was kind of one of the main points during the French colonial period, so there's a lot of French colonial architecture still in Battambang, and a lot of the boutique hotels are actually converted French colonial villas, which is quite a nice experience. Okay, moving right along. Northeast Mekong. So when I say the Northeast Mekong, when we assess the Northeast Mekong, generally we're talking about the main towns of Stung Treng, and Krache. The Mekong is, of course, the lifeblood of Southeast Asia, flowing through Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, starting in China. And has incredible importance to every one of those countries. So it's really nice to when visiting Krache and Stung Treng, you really get a sense of how important the Mekong is. So it's really nice. There's a really fantastic community homestay and boutique hotel option on Koh Pao. Koh Pao is actually the largest island in the Mekong. And a pretty interesting place to visit. The Mekong is a huge river, of course, and there's many islands within the Mekong, and Koh Pao is the largest. Again, really nice bicycle rides, community visits, and a really special experience without a lot of tourist activity. The main reason that most people visit Krache and the Northeast Mekong region is to see the Irrawaddy freshwater dolphin. There are many freshwater dolphins in this region. They are endangered, but they are actually thriving in this part of the Mekong because they are protected. And it's a great story of how tourism can help conservation. You aren't guaranteed to see dolphins, but every time I've been there they are. They're right there. So I think I wouldn't say you're guaranteed because you're never guaranteed, but you're almost guaranteed to see dolphins pretty much every time you visit this part of Cambodia. And it's great for overland connections between southern Laos, or what's called the Emerald Triangle, which is that corner of Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. From Laos and the 4,000 Islands, Paksay region, into Cambodia. So generally, someone coming from Laos would, or vice versa, coming from Cambodia might stay a night or two in Krache on the way to or from Laos. Moving right along, we're going to cover the northeast region of Cambodia next. So Northeast region really makes up two provinces, Ratnakhiri and Maldockhiri. If you're noticing the Khiri theme here, Khiri is actually means mountain in Sanskrit, and Khmer is a Sanskrit-based language, so you'll see that Ratnakhiri and Maldockhiri actually means mountainous regions. So Ratnakhiri and Maldockhiri provinces make up the Northeast. One's home to some of the most pristine and unspoiled jungles in Asia. Fortunately, there has been widespread deforestation throughout the region, so it's not as pristine as it once was, but there still are some really interesting things to see, and it's a really nice place to visit. Most notably, what we like to do is recommend people visit the Elephant Rescue Sanctuary in Khiri, which is located outside of a town called Sen Monoram, which is the capital of Khiri. The Elephant Rescue Sanctuary is a fantastic project that takes elephants that were once ridden by tourists and kind of rehabilitates them into a natural environment. You see these elephants that have basically been living in chains their entire lives, set free, and it's just a really, really special experience. Side note, Khiri Travel is elephant ride free, and we have been for a number of years, so we do not ever condone the riding of elephants or that kind of elephant tourism. But we do condone supporting the Elephant Rescue Sanctuary, and what you can do there is actually spend the day with the elephants as a mahout, but not riding the elephants as a mahout. So you wash them, you feed them, you kind of really have a more in-depth experience with the elephants, and it's a really, really special time, and it supports the conservation of the Asiatic elephant. And there are a number of charming boutique hotels in this region for you to stay. So there are comfortable options. While it is kind of a wild jungle region, there are some really nice boutique hotels to be had. So moving right along, Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh is the capital of Cambodia. And it's a bustling home to more than 2 million people. Also home to the Royal Palace, Silver Pagoda, and Wat Phnom. The picture you see here is actually the front of the Cambodian Royal Palace, which is quite stunning. The Silver Pagoda, which is a temple made entirely of silver, is located within the Royal Palace grounds. And Wat Phnom, which is the oldest structure in Phnom Penh, said to be built due to Lady Phnom, which is how Phnom Penh got its name. So there was a grand madam of the region who established Phnom Penh and kind of has mythical elements to her, and they built this Wat as a tribute to Lady Phnom, and it's the oldest structure in Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh is actually the convergence of 3 different rivers: the Tonle Sap River, which is the outflow of water from the Tonle Sap Lake, the Mekong River, and the Basak River. So 3 rivers meet right at Phnom Penh, and it's quite an interesting place geographically and certainly historically. Lots and lots of dining options, beautiful boutique hotels, some really, really nice, charming, quiet, gardeny boutique hotels in Phnom Penh, which we always like to suggest, and a really interesting dining scene actually, which has recently come about in Phnom Penh. A lot of people come to Phnom Penh to kind of experience the dark, modern, historical side of Cambodia, and of course that has to do with the Khmer Rouge time. The Khmer Rouge occupied Cambodia for 3 years, and during that time, approximately 1.8 million people were killed in Cambodia. When you do visit Cambodia and Phnom Penh, you do have an opportunity to visit Tol Sleng, and which is a genocide museum, formerly formerly a prison that housed inmates or enemies of the state during the Khmer Rouge period, and the Killing Fields, which of course is made famous by the movie, which is located outside of the city. As I mentioned, Phnom Penh is located on the Mekong, so it is a cruise hub. Many river cruises coming from Saigon to Siem Reap. A lot of cruises actually don't go all the way to Saigon. They kind of start outside of Saigon, and sometimes, depending on water levels, they can't go all the way to Siem Reap either. but they do always come to Phnom Penh. So it is a cruise hub with many of the river cruises stopping off, and it has easy access to Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City via boat, car, or plane. It's approximately a 4-hour boat trip down the Mekong to Chau Doc, Vietnam, which is kind of the start of the Mekong Delta region. So that's a really nice trip, really nice excursion to actually take for clients traveling in between Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, and Phnom Penh to actually take the boat upriver or downriver in between. Phnom Penh touring, one of my favorite tours that we offer is our Walking Heritage Foodie Tour. Really, really nice experience. A lot of people don't know what Khmer food is, and it can be a bit of an eye-opener. Khmer food is delicious. I think it's amazing. It's not really well known, as I mentioned, but it has a lot to offer, and it's quite a unique experience going through all the markets, sampling all the local ingredients, sampling local delicacies. And in addition to the foodie side of this trip, you also get to see a lot of the historical, mostly French colonial sites, namely the Central Market, Raffles Hotel, Wat Phnom, and the kind of French Quarter area. So really, really nice trip. Great way to spend half a day after you've explored maybe the Royal Palace or the Killing Fields. Oh, sorry, I go back there. Another nice way to spend the day in Phnom Penh, supporting sustainable projects. There's a number of projects that we operate in Phnom Penh, which are really, really interesting. Most notably, a visit to Friends Restaurant, which is an NGO that actually trains street kids and at-risk youth in hospitality and restaurant services, as well as a couple other arts-focused projects that you have an opportunity to visit. Biking the Mekong island of Kodak, which is Silk Island, where they produce a lot of silk and weave a lot of silk scarves or kramas. Quite interesting, and a very different side of Phnom Penh for people who might not have an opportunity to visit any other countryside in Cambodia. Explore the city via Vespa and tuk-tuk, always a fun trip. Visit S21, Tol Sleng Prison and Genocide Museum, and the Killing Fields, which I already mentioned. And of course, the Royal Palace and Silver Pagoda. Next up, we have Sihanoukville, Kep, and Kampot. Some of the more popular, kind of, I would say, third-tier destinations in Cambodia. So you have Siem Reap, Phnom Penh, and then kind of maybe third on the list for a lot of people would be Sihanoukville, Kep, and Kampot. Kep and Kampot in particular are two of my favorite destinations in Cambodia. Absolutely beautiful, really, really relaxing. Great place for any people who are looking for a couple days to really decompress and relax. Some stunning beaches in Sihanoukville. Mostly, we only recommend that people visit Otres Beach, which is the southeast part of Sihanoukville. Some of the beaches in Sihanoukville in the city aren't terribly pleasant, but it can be quite nice. Interesting history, particularly in Kep and Kampot, where Kep was considered the Riviera of Cambodia at the time, French Riviera during the French colonial period. So there's all kinds of beautiful old kind of dilapidated villas throughout the town, and it was a coastal kind of vacation spot during the French colonial period. Delicious crab, famous for its seafood, and really, really nice place to visit. Some beautiful properties as well in Kep and Kampot and Sihanoukville. 2 hours from Phnom Penh with a 1-hour flight from Siem Reap to Sihanoukville. So there's one flight daily between Siem Reap and Sihanoukville, and it can easily be reached. So you can do it if someone is interested in maybe skipping Phnom Penh or doesn't have a lot of time. It's a really easy flight to pop down from Siem Reap to Sihanoukville. Sihanoukville, Kampot, and kept touring. A couple of the nice trips that we like to recommend is exploring Bokor Mountain. Bokor Mountain is a massive plateau kind of tabletop mountain. I wouldn't say it's similar to Tabletop Mountain in Cape Town, but it does kind of have that appearance, where it has a completely different ecosystem. So you go up there, it'll be 100 degrees in Kampot, and you go to the top of Bokor, and it'll be, in the 50s and foggy and strange, and it's quite interesting. There's also an old French colonial casino up there and some interesting buildings. Paddleboarding or kayaking the mangroves. Beautiful experience, gorgeous river outside of in Kampot, where you have an opportunity to paddleboard and kayak through palm fringe mangroves. Visiting the world-famous pepper plantations. At one point, Kampot pepper was considered to be the best pepper in the world. It still is one of the best peppers in the world, and quite an interesting experience for anyone who hasn't seen where pepper comes from. It's kind of this ubiquitous ingredient that is everywhere, that everyone uses daily, and it's interesting to kind of see where it all comes from. Excellent pepper in Kampot. Ream National Park, which is located outside of Sihanoukville, is quite interesting. Again, mangrove tour, kind of exploring some hidden beaches, and of course relaxing on the beach. This photo is from one of our favorite properties in Kep, called Kanai Bong Chat, and it's a lovely property right on the coast. Moving along, next we are covering Koh Kong and the Cardamom Mountains. The Cardamom Mountains is one of the best community-based sustainable tourism projects in Asia, also one of the most successful. The Cardamom Mountains are one of the most preserved forested regions, jungle regions in Asia. It's one of the only places that still has a population of wild elephants. They are talking about reintroducing tigers here. There are gibbons. It has a very healthy ecosystem. And it's a really interesting place to visit. Stunning rivers, pristine mountains, jungles, a variety of accommodation, and when we're talking about the Cardamom Mountains, there's kind of two areas that we generally discuss, and it's Chipat, which is the community-based sustainable tourism project, which is a village in the Cardamom Mountains located on a river. Really, really stunning place to visit. The accommodation there is quite basic, but comfortable. Standard bungalows with generator power, but you also have an option to explore the jungles, actually overnight in the jungles with a forest ranger. And then you have an option to stay at somewhere a little bit more upscale, particularly a property called Four Rivers Floating Villas. And that is a really nice, unique experience to stay in a boutique, I wouldn't say luxury, but upscale property that's actually located in floating bungalows on a really nice river. You can kayak and swim directly off the bungalows, and it's quite enjoyable. Koh Kong is 4 hours from Phnom Penh, and about 3 hours from Sihanoukville. And you can also connect very easily into Thailand, into the southeastern province of Trat in Thailand. Touring Koh Kong and the Cardamom Mountains, kayak a plethora of rivers. There's multiple rivers there, lots of adventure to be had. It's kind of an adventure destination, I would say, but also good for people who want to just relax and maybe bird watch, or simply just experience the community and experience the jungles. trek through forests and spend a night in the jungle with a local naturalist forest ranger. A really unique experience where you actually get to really go in depth into the jungle. Mountain bike through trails to ancient archaeological sites, and fish for giant freshwater prawns, which is something that most people don't get a chance to do every day. Moving right along, next up we are at the islands. So there's a number of islands here. We're only going to discuss 3 mainly. That's Koh Rong, Koh Rong Semlom, and Song Sa. Song Sa is actually a private island resort. Koh Rong Semlom is, I would say, kind of the mid-range of these 3. Absolutely stunning, probably one of the best beaches that I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of beaches. And Koh Rong, which is the size of Hong Kong. It's a massive island, not extremely developed. It has a little bit of a reputation for attracting younger travelers, but it does have a lot to offer, and it's a stunning destination. All of these islands are 45 minutes off the coast of Sihanoukville via speedboat. All of them have stunning beaches, and when I say, I'm not just saying that, they are actually world-class beaches, and a range of accommodation from backpacker style to sustainable ultra-luxury. And sustainable ultra-luxury would be the Song Sa resort. That is a photo of Koh Rong and a destination dining experience on Koh Rong Semlom. And with that, I am just about finished. Thank you so much, Akun Chanang, Chamriprile, and thank you for taking the time to learn a little bit about Cambodia and Khiri Travel.
Thank you so much. That was a great presentation, Miles. And we've got about 7 minutes here before the top of the hour, so let's see if we can get some questions answered. Our number 1 question today was about how challenging it is to communicate in Cambodia. Is the language barrier an issue?
Good question. Sure. I would say that English is probably more widely spoken in Cambodia than Vietnam or Laos comparatively. Probably in Indochina, it's probably the easiest place to communicate. Maybe a little bit less so than in Thailand, but generally, tourism is such a big industry here that English is fairly widely spoken, and you can get by with the basics. So not too difficult to communicate, and Khmers are such lovely people that if you just make a small effort, even if you don't, they're more than welcoming of everything. So I would say not terribly difficult to communicate here.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Thank you. And what about safety? Is that a concern for travelers, for tourists?
Good question. Safety is always a concern when traveling and in any destination. Cambodia is quite a safe country for tourists. I would say you have to be a little bit more cautious in Phnom Penh as you do in every major city in the world. Siem Reap is extremely safe, and the countryside is extremely safe. And again, Khmer people are some of the friendliest, most accommodating people in the world, in my opinion, and safety is never a major concern outside of the major cities.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And are you able to combine into other countries? Can travelers also combine, say, a trip to Laos or Thailand with a Cambodia trip?
Absolutely. So I would say the majority of people that are visiting Cambodia are also visiting, especially coming from North America, because it is a long flight, are also visiting at least Vietnam and Thailand, or Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. So Cambodia is definitely an extension destination, I would say, at this point, but it's very easily reachable from any destination in Asia via Phnom Penh or Siem Reap.
Okay, thank you. And we had several people who are wondering about whether there are any concerns with biting insects or other pests.
Insect bites, sure. There is, I mean, of course, there's certainly mosquitoes, and that's about the extent of the danger. If there's a concern about malaria, there really is no malaria except for somewhere deep, deep, deep in the jungle. Um, but yeah, it's I would say there's not a big concern about insects or bites in particular.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, if we have agents who would like to do a private group tour, are you able to take care of that for them?
Absolutely. We at Khiri Travel really do mostly private group tours. We don't actually do join-in tours, so we would be more than happy to tailor make any itinerary um, for Cambodia and for the region.
Wonderful. And so I would imagine if they have that request that they can, should they contact you or should they contact Michael to start?
Either way, feel free to contact Michael. It's easy to talk to Mike. As he's in the same time zone, so yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
especially if you're looking to get a little bit of help and you don't know where to start. I'm more than happy to help build that base, get some itinerary ideas going, and all that stuff. And then, of course, the team in Asia will kind of really fine-tune it as well.
Okay, thank you. And one last question here. How many people comprise a group? What is your minimum number that you will work with?
Oh, one person. So we have no minimum. If you have a single traveler who would like to visit Cambodia, more than happy to custom tailor an itinerary for them.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. All right, well, I am going to stop with the questions now. I have a few to forward over for some individual follow-up. Of course, everybody, you can also contact Michael. I know he will still be in his office for another hour or so today, so you can always contact him if you have questions that need immediate answers. So Michael and Miles, let me turn it back over to you for closing comments.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Lee. And again, can't thank everyone enough for stopping by to hear a bit more about Cambodia. As you can see, there's just so much to the destination. It's unbelievable, from beautiful beaches to fantastic small markets to a art community, elephants. I mean, it really does have it all, and it's a shame so many people skip over on it. So we hope that you're able to get a bit of information from this and, pass it on to your clients so that we can show them all that Cambodia has to offer. And I want to thank you too, Miles, for, again, doing this in the middle of the night for us, and it's a pleasure to have you on from all the way over in Phnom Penh, so I appreciate that.
My pleasure, and thank you everyone for joining, and have a lovely day.
And with that, we will say good day and conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks again.